Let's continue our discussion on VAT. Okay, so far na-discuss na natin yung sources of output and input VAT. And now, discuss naman natin class yung excess output or input. So, di ba class, meron tayong output VAT minus input VAT, you have the VAT payable. Tama? So, dalawa lang yung possible scenarios dito. It's either yung output natin mas mataas sa input or yung input VAT natin mas mataas sa output VAT. Okay? Now, if your output is more than your input, well, we know meron kang VAT payable. Okay? On the other hand, if yung input VAT naman class mas mataas sa output VAT, then the difference will stay in the books. Okay? Actually, stay in the books as input VAT and ipepresent mo yan as prepaid asset. Okay? So, I'll show you an illustration para mas malinaw. Mag-provide tayo ng journal entries. Alright, so journal entry number 1. Bili muna tayo ng goods. Debit purchases, 100,000. And then bayaran natin yung VAT ng purchases natin, 12%. Debit input VAT, 12,000. So yung total talaga natin babayaran sa supplier natin is 112,000. Tama? Now, ibenta natin yan. Debit cash, credit sales. Let's say binenta natin for 200,000. And then may VAT na 12%. Credit sales, credit output VAT. 12% of 200,000 is 24,000. So, yung cash na ma-receive natin is 224,000. Okay, so at the end of the period, i-close natin si output and input. So, journal entry number 3, debit output VAT. How much? 24,000. Credit input VAT. How much? 12,000. Therefore, difference natin is VAT payable for 12,000. Alright, so yung journal entry number 3 natin, output is greater than input. Therefore, meron tayong VAT payable. Siyempre, pag binayar mo si BIR, debit VAT payable, credit cash. Sir, what if yung input natin mas mataas sa output? So let's say class, ito yung next scenario natin, yung input natin, instead of 12,000, let's say 30,000. Paano yung journal entry niyan, sir? Debit output VAT. Okay, how much? 24,000. Credit input VAT. Class, ang i-credit mo lang is up to the extent of the output VAT, which is 24,000. Tama ba yung matitira sa input VAT natin? 30,000 minus 24, we have 6,000. Tama? Yung 6,000, mag-i-stay lang sa books natin yon as input VAT. Prepaid asset yon. Pwede mo siyang i-carry over sa next period. Got it? Okay. So, ulitin ko, kapag mas mataas yung input sa output, yung credit mo sa input is only up to the extent of your output VAT. Alright, so speaking of mas mataas yung input kaysa kay output, so in summary class, pag meron tayong excess input VAT, okay? Pag meron tayong excess, tignan mo muna kung anong klaseng VAT taxpayer ka, okay? Di ba, meron tayong, pwede kang subject to 12%, pwede kang subject to 0%. So, class, kailan nga ba pag subject sa 12%? Kapag nagbebenta ka domestic or local, pag naman 0%, basically, pag nag-export ka. Okay? Now, kapag excess input, pag mas mataas si input kay output, alam natin, class, carried over yan. Okay? Carried over to next month or next quarter. Okay? Kasi, class, kaya next month or next quarter yan because nagpa-file tayo, nagbabayad tayo ng VAT, monthly and quarterly. Okay, so every month, and then yung quarterly, cumulative computation yun. Okay? Now, sir, what if zero-rated naman ako? Okay, subject to 0%. Paano yung treatment natin sa input VAT? Okay, kasi wala kang output eh. Tama, 0% eh. Pero may input ka, may input VAT ka na 12%. So, paano yung treatment natin sa excess input VAT? Okay, so take note class, may option si taxpayer. 3 options. Number 1, pwede siyang i-carry over. Okay? Carry over siya, and then i-offset mo siya. Okay? Offset to output tax of local or domestic sales. Okay? So for example, class, nag-export ka, and then nagbebenta ka rin locally. Okay? Yung input VAT mo dun sa export, pwede mo siyang ipang-offset dun sa local or domestic sales. Okay? Yan yung isang option. Oh, sir, what if wala ka naman local or domestic sales? Well, pwede ka rin mag-ask for tax refund. Okay? Tax refund. Kaya lang, merong deadline yan. Yung application mo should be within 2 years. Okay? After the close of the quarter. So, 2 years yung application mo for tax refund. Kaya lang, class, good luck sa tax refund. Mahirap mag-refund kay BIR. Okay? So, long process yan. Number 3 naman, pwede mo siyang i-convert into tax credit certificates or TCC. Sir, paano naman yung use ng TCC na yan? Actually, class, pwede mo siyang ipang-bayad. Okay? Lagay ko dito, may be used in paying other internal revenue taxes. Okay? For example, yung TCC mo, pwede mo ipang-offset yan sa income tax due mo. Okay? So, income tax due minus VAT or TCC from VAT, you have the income tax payable. So, pwede mo siyang ipang-offset dun sa ibang internal revenue taxes mo. Ulitin ko, yung options na yan, applicable lang yung class sa zero-rated VAT taxpayers. Okay? Pwede ipang carry over to local or domestic sales, pwedeng refund, pwedeng TCC. May deadline din yan, 2 years. Okay? Ayan. Sige. Now, yung last part of our lecture class is dun sa exempt transactions. Okay? Exempt transactions. Ano nga ba class ulit yung kailangan nyo malaman about exempt transactions? Di ba? Dinifferentiate natin yan. 0% versus exempt. Well, kapag exempt, basically, wala kang output. Wala kang output VAT. Okay? Yung input VAT mo naman class, hindi mo siya nire-report as input VAT. Iko-close mo siya to expense or cost of goods sold or cost. Okay? So, ayan. Yan yung treatment mo kapag exempt yung transaction. Sir, ano naman yung mga exempt transactions, okay? Or transactions exempt from VAT. Actually, mahaba yung listahan, okay? Nasa G-sheets natin. So, class, ito yung mga list na, again, babasahin mo days, 2 to 3 days before the actual board exam. Alright? Mahaba yan eh. So, titignan natin kung ano yung keywords, okay? And then, again, kailangan natin maging familiar. Hindi mo kailangan i-memorize yan. Okay, sige, tingnan natin. VAT exempt transactions, naka-enumerate yan under section 109 of the tax code. Isa-isa natin class. Letter A. Sale or importation of agricultural marine food product in their original state. Yung pinaka-important na words ito, yung original state, okay? The original state, even if they have undergone the simple process of preparation or preservation, such as freezing, drying, salting, broiling, roasting, smoking, and stripping. Okay, i-apply natin yan later sa may theory question tayo regarding this. Pero take note class, pag nagbenta ka or nag-import ka, original state, for example, fresh fish, okay, o kaya fresh eggs, original state yon, exempt from VAT yun, okay? Kahit i-apply mo siya ng simple process, kahit for example, freezing, drying, salting, broiling, roasting, smoking, stripping, pag in-apply mo yung processes na yan, considered yan as simple processes, therefore, considered pa rin as original state. Okay? Pag ibang process na yung ginawa mo, pag wala dyan, magiging subject to VAT na yun, VATable na yun. Gets? Okay. Letter A. Letter B. Sale or importation of fertilizer, seeds, seedlings, fingerlings, fish, prawn, livestock, poultry feed. So, alam mo lang maging familiar na pag yan yung ini-import mo, binibenta mo or ini-import mo, fertilizer, seeds, seedlings, etc., VAT exempt yan. Letter C. Importation of personnel and household effects belonging to the residents of the Philippines, returning from abroad, and non-resident coming to resettle in the Philippines. Di ba sabi ko kayo na class, pag nag-i-import ka, ang rule dyan, VATable yan. Ang babayad ka ng VAT dyan. Except, pag ini-import mo, personnel and household effects. For example, class, may OFW ka na relatives. Umuwi dito, okay? May mga dala siyang gamit. Exempt from VAT yan. Gets? Okay. Letter D, importation of professional instruments, implements, wearing apparel, domestic animals, personal, household effects belonging to persons coming to settle in the Philippines for their own use and not for barter or sale. Okay, personal use. Actually, yung letter C and letter D, medyo related sila. Except yung letter D, more of my equipment, no? Professional instruments, implements, blah, blah, blah. Pero basically, basta may umuwi dito, exempt yan from VAT. Services subject to other percentage tax. Sabi ko kanina, it's either subject ka lang to VAT or OPT. Hindi pwedeng subject ka dyan both. Kasi direct double taxation yun. Kaya pag subject ka sa OPT, hindi ka subject to VAT. Gets? Letter F. Services of agricultural contract growers, milling of others, palay into rice, corn into grits, sugarcane into raw sugar. Okay, yung agricultural, ayan, contract growers na yan, they're also exempt from VAT. Medical, dental, veterinary services, except those rendered by professionals. Okay, so FYI, exempt from VAT. Educational services, yung mga tuition fees na yan, mapansin mo, pag nagbayad ka ng tuition, wala namang VAT na nakalagay doon. Tama kasi, not subject to VAT yan. Educational services rendered by private, education institutions accredited by DepEd, CHED, TESDA, non-VATable. Okay, services rendered pursuant to employee-employer relationship. Okay, pag sumisweldo ka, wala namang VAT yun, tama? So, ayan, employer-employee relationship, not subject to VAT. Letter J. Services rendered by regional area headquarters established in the Philippines, supervisory communication coordinating centers. Naalala niyo yung class, yung regional or area headquarters. Iba ang rule natin dyan, exemption sa income tax. Exempt din sa VAT yan. Okay? Letter K, transactions which are exempt under international agreements into which the Philippines is a signatory or under special. So obviously, pag may treaty tayo sa ibang bansa, na exempt dapat yung certain transactions na to, well, magiging exempt yan, okay? As long as meron tayong international agreements or treaties with other countries. Letter L, sale by agricultural cooperatives, okay? So yung next, ilan ba to? Ayan, I think next 3, okay? Puro cooperatives to. So yung letter L, agricultural cooperatives, okay? Duly registered with Cooperative Development Authority to their members, okay? As well as sale of their produce to non-members. Okay, pag nagbenta ka sa members, or let's say ikaw yung nagpo-produce, binenta mo sa non-members, okay? For agricultural cooperatives, exempt yan. Letter M, cooperative din to. For gross receipts from lending activities by credit or multi-purpose cooperatives duly registered with CDA. And letter N, sale by non-agricultural, non-electric, non-credit cooperatives duly registered with the CDA. Okay, provided that the share capital of each contribution of each member does not exceed 15,000. So very important yung 15,000 na yan. Pag sumobra ka dyan, vatable ka na. Okay, so ulitin ko, letter L, letter M, letter N, cooperatives yan. So L, agricultural, M, credit, yung N naman, non-agricultural, non-credit, pero yung contribution dapat hindi mag-exceed ng 15,000. Gets? Okay. Letter O, export sales by non-VAT registered individuals. Pag nag-export ka kasi, 0% yun. If VAT registered ka. If hindi ka VAT registered, hindi yan subject to VAT. Okay? So exempt yan. Pag export sales by non-VAT registered individuals. Letter P, ito gusto ko i-highlight. Okay? Yung letter P. Lilinawin natin yan. Sale of real properties, not primarily held for sale. Take note na pinag-uusapan natin yung mga exempt from VAT. Basahin muna natin class, no? And then isi-summarize ko. Listen very carefully sa letter P. Sale of real properties, not primarily held for sale to customers, or held for lease in the ordinary course of business, or real property utilized for low-cost housing, or low-cost and socialized housing, as defined by RA 7279 or the Urban Development Act of 1992. Sale of residential lot valued at 1.5 billion and below, house and lot and other residential dwellings at 2.5 and below. Okay? So take note yung mga threshold. Beginning January 1, 2021. Ingat ka doon, January 1, 2021. The VAT exemption shall only apply to sale of real properties not primarily held for sale to customers. Okay? Sale of real property utilized for socialized housing and sale of house and lot and other residential dwellings, threshold reduced to 2 million. Okay? Binaba siya actually from 2.5 million to 2 million. Okay? Provided further that every 3 years, the amount herein stated shall be adjusted to its present value using CPI. Okay? Yung adjustment na yan, syempre may inflation. Tama, may inflation every year. So, kailangan i-adjust mo yung mga threshold na yan. Okay? So, i-summarize natin class para malinaw. Letter P, no? Letter P, sale of real properties. Okay, ganito yung class. Divide natin into two. Yung first is before, lagay ko dito before January 1, 2021. Okay? Yung isa naman, after January 1, 2021. Actually, class, yung provision na yan, sa train yan. Tignan natin lagyan natin dito yung create. Okay? Ayan. Ingat ka nun sa date, January 1, 2021. Ganito yung class. Ito yung mga exempt. Take note ito yung mga exempt. Meron tayong apat, no? So, enumerate natin. Number 1, real properties not primarily held for sale. Plus, ano ba yung real property not held for sale? Di ba yun yung capital asset? Yung sabi ko kanina, dito ba yan? Wala. Na-erase ko na. Pag capital asset, hindi ka subject to VAT. Tama? Ang subject to VAT, ordinary asset. Since not held for sale yan, capital asset yan. Tama? Therefore, never siya magiging taxable. Okay, so lagay ko na lang exempt. Lagay ko na lang, okay, so pag lagay ko check, ibig sabihin exempt yun. Okay ba yan? So pag lagay ko check, exempt yun So this is exempt. Mamaya na yung create mamaya na yung create muna. Exempt siya, after January 1, 2021, exempt pa rin. Kasi capital asset Never yan magiging subject to VAT. Okay? Number 2. Number 2 class is real property utilized for low-cost housing. Okay? Low-cost housing. And then number 3 naman, socialized housing. Okay? Basically, yung low-cost housing and socialized housing na yan, yun yung mga housing projects ng government for mga low-income families. Okay? Yung mga housing projects. Now, nakalagay dyan, defined siya under RA 7279 or the Urban Development Act of 1992. Technically, magkaiba yung definition dalawa na yan. Pero pwede mong isipin na mga government projects yan. Government housing projects yung mga yan. Okay? Now, before January 1, 2021, exempt yan. Okay? Exempt yan pareho. Tandaan mo yan, Ngayong class, after January 1, 2021, if titingnan mo yung nakalagay dyan, beginning January 1, 2021, the VAT exemption shall only apply to sale of real properties not primarily held for sale, this one. Okay? And property utilized for socialized housing. Okay? Ibig sabihin class, yung low-cost housing na yan, magiging subject to VAT na yan. Okay? Socialized housing na lang yung exempt from VAT. Take note, pag-check, ibig sabihin exempt Okay? Exempt. Number 4, ito yung pang-apat, last one. Real property, okay? Held for sale, real property held for sale. Di ba class, pag real property held for sale, ordinary asset yun, tama? Now, tingnan mo muna kung ano yung binibenta. Pwede kasi yung residential lot, okay, residential lot, or house and lot, and other residential dwellings. Residential dwellings. Okay, so differentiate natin class. Yung una, lot lang yung binibenta. Okay, ingat ka. Lot lang. Okay, ito house and lot yung isa. And other residential dwellings. Pag sinabi mong other residential dwellings, ang example niyan, condominium. Alright? So take note. Before January 1, 2021, exempt yan, yung residential lot, okay, assuming na yung value niyan is, okay, lagay ko yung amount niyan is, does not exceed 1.5 million. Okay, nakalagay dyan. Tingnan natin ha. Sale of residential lot, valued at 1.5 million. So yung value ng lot, 1.5 million or below. Okay? Now, yung house and lot, and other residential dwellings, 2.5 million naman yung threshold niyan. Got it? Okay, so pag ganyan, exempt yung dalawa na yan. 1.5 million and 2.5 million. Take note sa date, before January 1, 2021. Ngayon class, makikita mo sa last sentence, provided further that every 3 years, iibahin daw class yan, i-adjust yan according to inflation. Ha? Ngayon, adjusted na yan. I mean, in-adjust na yan, okay? Yung adjusted value niyan, ngayon, yung 1.5 million na yan, is now 1,919,500. Okay, so gumamit ng CPI yan, index, okay? Huwag natin alam yung paano in-apply yan, pero based dun sa RR 16-2011, okay, pwede nyo i-check yun, ito na yung value niyan, 1,919,500. Ngayon, sa house and lot naman class, and other residential dwellings, 3,199,200. Iyan na yung adjusted value nila. Gets? Okay, now, basahin ulit natin. Beginning January 1, 2021, the VAT exemption shall only apply to sale of real properties not held for sale, to customers, sale of real property utilized for social housing, and sale of house and lot and other residential dwellings with reduced threshold to 2 million. So, ibig sabihin class, ito lang daw. It means, starting January 1, 2021, pag ang binenta mo is residential lot, hindi na yan exempt. Vatable na yan. Okay? Ito exempt, pero ni-reduce. Dati 2.5 million, 2 million na lang yan. Okay? And yung adjusted value niya based on CPI is now, sulat mo to, 2,559,300. Got it? Actually, ni-reduce yan. 2.5, naging 2 million. Pero, kailangan i-adjust yan based on CPI. Ang adjusted na value niyan, 2,559,300. Okay? 2,559,300. Okay? Pwede ka mag-refer sa RR 16-2011. Ayan. Diyan i-illustrate kung paano mag-adjust ng based on CPI. Alright. So, ingat ka dyan ha. Now, sa create class, no? Actually, yung proposed amendments kasi sa create, from 2.5 million, pinopropose ng mga legislators natin, na i-increase yan to 4.2 million. Tama? I think it's 4.2, yes. Yan yung pinopose nila. Kaya lang, vetoed by the President yan. Hindi pumayag si Duterte dyan. Okay? Vinito na yan. So, in short class, walang changes sa create. Okay? No changes. Kasi, take note na yung provision na binasa ko kanina, sa train pa lang meron na yan. Okay? Pinakita yan sa train law. So, sa create, no changes kasi vetoed by the President. So, gustong itaas yung exemption from 2.5 to 4.2, hindi pumayag yan. So, vinito ng President yan. Gets? Okay. So, ito yung summary ng letter P na yan. Marami kasi nalilito eh. So, kaya sinamarize ko. Letter Q, lease of residential unit with monthly rent not exceeding 15,000. Ano yung rule natin kanina? Sinulat ko kanina. Okay? Kapag monthly rent mo not exceeding 15,000, pag below, regardless of the amount, no? Tama? Regardless of the amount ng annual mo, okay? Ng annual mo, hindi ka subject to VAT and hindi ka subject to OPT. Alam mo yan? Okay. Kaya nakalagay dyan, kaya part siya na exempt from VAT. Okay? So, ayan. Letter R, yung R naman class, bago yan, under create, nilagay ko dyan, create. Okay, sale, importation, or publication of books, newspaper, magazine, okay, journal, review bulletin, or any such educational reading material covered by UNESCO agreement on the importation of educational, scientific, cultural, including digital or electronic, provided materials enumerated, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so class, tingin tayo dun sa next sheet, yung create versus train, okay? Kung pupunta ka dyan, under train law, okay ba mo? May tatlo lang naman na differences yan sa VAT. Under train law, nakalagay lang books, newspaper, magazine review, or bulletin. Okay? Under create, dinagdagan yung class. Books, newspaper, magazine, journal, review bulletin, or any other such reading material covered by UNESCO agreement. Okay? So, dinagdagan yan. Ito pa yung isang change dyan. Nakalagay sa train, exemption only applies to the sale of physical copies. Yung exemption, mga hard copies lang. Pero under create, exemption includes yung physical and yung digital or electronic format. Yung mga e-books, electronic books, ayun, exempted na rin yan. Gets? Okay. Balik tayo dun sa VAT. Letter S. So, yun yung unang change sa create, ha? Take note. Letter S, transport of passengers by international carriers. Kasi subject siya sa common carriers tax. I-discuss natin yan sa next topic natin. Letter T, sale or importation of or lease of passengers or cargo vessels or aircrafts including engine, equipment, spare parts for domestic or international operations. So, pag ang binenta mo or in-import mo, yung mismong passenger, cargo vessels, and aircrafts, ayun, exempt siya. Okay? Letter U, importations of fuel, food, goods, supplies by person engaged in international shipping, okay, or air transportation. Letter V, service of banks, non-bank financial intermediaries performing quasi-banking. Okay, so yung mga bangko class, Okay, mga bangko na yan, hindi yan subject to VAT. Okay, pag punta kang BDO or BPI, mga services na wala makikita ng VAT doon. Okay, exempt sila. Subject kasi sila sa percentage tax. Next meeting. Letter W, sale of goods or lease of goods to senior citizens and PWD. So, actually, discuss natin to sa preferential taxation, but basically, yung mga senior citizens na yan and PWDs, they're not subject to VAT. Okay? Letter X, transfer of property pursuant to Section 40. Actually, ito class yung, medyo na-discuss natin ito before sa income tax. Kapag nag-transfer ka ng property, nag-gain ka ng control. Okay? Di ba, hindi subject yun sa income tax. Naalala nyo yun? Pag may merger or consolidation. Now, hindi rin subject sa VAT yun. Gets? Okay. Letter Y, association dues, membership fees, homeowners association or condominium corporations, yung mga association dues na yan, not subject to VAT yan. Sale of gold to BSP. Benta ka ng gold to BSP, not subject to VAT. Letter AA, and bago to, under create, basahin natin. Sale or importation or prescription of goods and medicines for diabetes, high cholesterol, hypertension. Beginning January 1, 2020, dagdagan. Cancer, mental illness, tuberculosis, kidney diseases. Ayan, beginning January 1, 2021. Okay, punta tayo sa create versus train na sheet natin. I-differentiate natin class. Nakalagay dyan, number 2, exemption on drugs and medicines under train, diabetes, high cholesterol, and hypertension. Tatlo lang, okay? Diagdagan yan under create. Ginawang diabetes, high cholesterol, cancer, mental illness, tuberculosis, kidney diseases. Okay? Hypertension. Ayan, so diagdagan siya. Alright? And then, last one naman, yung BB. Actually, second to the last pala to. Yung BB, tandaan mo class, COVID-19 related yan. Okay, basahin natin. Sale or importation of the following beginning January 1, 2021. Take note, meron ng time period to December 31, 2023. So, 1, 2, 3 years. Okay? Number 1, capital equipment. It's spare parts, raw materials necessary for the production of PPE. Okay, personal protective equipment. Such as coveralls, gowns, surgical cap, mask, scrub suits, goggles, face shield, okay, double or surgical gloves, dedicated shoes, shoe covers for COVID-19 prevention. Okay. Take note, capital equipment, yung pinampo-produce mo ng PPE, yun yung exempted. Number 2, all drugs, vaccines, medical devices specifically prescribed and directly used for the treatment of COVID-19. Okay? Drugs for the treatment of COVID-19 approved by the FDA for clinical trials. Okay? So class, tanda mo lang, yung BB na yan, under create, basta COVID-19 related, from January 1, 2021 to December 31, 2023, non-vatable yan. Okay? And then last one naman class, letter CC, sale or lease of goods or properties from the performance of services. The transaction mentioned in the preceding paragraphs, gross annual sales or receipts do not exceed amount of 3 million. Kasi class, alam natin, kapag yung gross sales or receipts mo, hindi siya nag-exceed ng 3 million, subject ka sa other percentage tax. Okay? Yan yung didiscuss natin next meeting. So kaya sabi dyan, kapag hindi nag-exceed ng 3 million, hindi ka subject to VAT. Kasi nga, subject ka to OPT. Gets? Okay. Ayan. So again class, punta tayo sa create versus train. Kung mapapansin nyo, tatlo lang naman yung nagkaiba dyan. Again, ayan. So, ayan, 3 changes lang under create. Okay, what's next? Next natin is, I think pwede na tayo magsagot ng handouts. Tama ba? Okay, pwede na tayo magsagot ng handouts class. Problems muna tayo, no? Let's go to problem number 1. Actually, madali lang yung computation sa VAT. Sige, so erase ko na to. Get your handouts. Let's go to problem number 1. Problem number 1, we have, well, the requirement dyan is compute for the VAT payable. Okay, so basic muna. Basic question muna tayo. Again, ang goal natin dyan, computing natin yung output VAT, and then i-offset natin yung input, then we get the VAT payable. Okay. Sige, so get your calculators as well. Sabayan nyo mag-compute. ABC Inc., a VAT registered taxpayer. Very important VAT registered. Bakit sir? Para makapag-claim ka ng input VAT. Is a seller of goods. Kapag sale of goods, yung tax base natin is the gross selling price or the GSP. ABC reported the following data. All figures are exclusive of VAT. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng exclusive of VAT? Wala pang VAT. Okay? Hindi pa kasama yung VAT. Gross sales, sales returns and allowances, sales discounts. Plus, mina-minus mo ba yung returns and allowances and discounts? Yes. Kapag mag-compute ka ng gross selling price, dideduct natin yung sales returns, allowances, discounts. And if merong excise tax, i-add natin. I think wala namang excise tax dito, so hindi natin kailangan i-add. Okay? So 600,000, compute with me, minus 50, minus 30,000. Nakuha mo yung 520,000. Okay? 520,000, so lagay ko dito, problem number 1. Yung output tax muna tayo. Output tax natin is 520,000, lagay ko dito, times 12%. How much yung nakuha mo class? 520,000 times 12%, you get 62,400. 62,400. And then yung input tax natin, let's compute. Okay, payment for purchase of materials. From VAT taxpayers, pwede ka mag-claim ng input VAT dyan. From non-VAT taxpayers, hindi pwede. Kasi dapat ikaw and yung supplier mo VAT registered. Nakalagay non-VAT, lagyan mo na X yan, hindi yan pwede mag-claim. Payment for supplies from VAT taxpayers. Okay? Yung kanina, binili mo materials. Ngayon, binili mo supplies. Yung supplies, pwede rin source ng input VAT yan. Tama? Salaries of employees, wala yan. Payment to Manila Water, other operating expenses, wala. So, ang sources na input VAT natin, 80,000 plus 60,000, 140,000. 140,000 times 12%, okay? Times 0.12, you get 16,800. So, minus mo yung input tax na 16,800. So, minus 62,400. Difference sila, 45,600. Answer natin, class, is letter A, VAT payable, 45,600. Okay? So, very easy. Let's go to number 2. Requirement, compute for the VAT payable. XYZ Construction Inc., a VAT registered contractor, provided the following information. Collections on total contract price. So, yung number 1 natin, sale of goods. Dito naman, since contractor ka, sale of services. Collections on total contract price for projects already completed inclusive of 500,000 for materials. Okay? 1,344,000. Now, next natin is receivables on progress billings, VAT inclusive. Okay? Advances on contracts, VAT not inclusive. Retention on contracts made by clients out of contract price already earned. Okay? And then may mga purchases tayo. Nakalagay, materials gross of VAT. So, kasi ang daming terms na ginagamit. Ito lang tatanda mo dyan. Pag sinabing gross of VAT, ibig sabihin din yan, equal lang siya sa inclusive. Ibig sabihin, may kasama ng VAT. Included na yung VAT. Okay? Pag nakalagay, net of VAT, ibig sabihin yung class, exclusive or hindi pa kasama yung 12% VAT. Alright? Sige. Okay. So, let's see And pag silent class, tanda mo, pag silent yung problem, ang i-assume mo dyan, nandun na. Included na yung VAT. Kasi actually later, di-discuss natin yung mga invoicing requirements. Pag nagbenta kay customer, kung ano yung price na nakikita ni customer, VAT inclusive yun. Yun yung requirement ni BIR. Okay? So pag sa problem, wala nakalagay kung inclusive or exclusive, ito i-assume. Kasama na yan. Alright, so gagawin ko dito class, doon muna ako sa output. Yung output tax natin, yung collections na 1,344, ano ba nakalagay dyan? On contract price for projects already completed, inclusive of 500,000 for materials. Okay, so walang sinabi. So assume natin na may VAT yan. Okay, inclusive of VAT yan. So ang gagawin ko dyan class, ganito yan. Papakita ko sa niya, yung 1,344,000, kung meron ng VAT yan na 12%, ang gagawin ko, di-divide ko muna yan by 1.12. Okay? So 1,344,000 divided by 1.12, you get 1.2 million. Yung 1,344, ito yung inclusive of VAT. Yung 1.2 million, ito yung exclusive of VAT. Tama? Multiply ko yan ng 12%, you will get times 0.12, 144,000. Ito siya. Yung collections natin, yung VAT natin dyan, yung output VAT natin dyan is 144,000. Kaya lang, medyo mahaba. O yung solution. Ganito yung technique dyan. Ang shortcut dyan, class, 1,344,000, ito, pag inclusive, multiply mo by 12 over 112. Yan yung shortcut. Okay? 1,344,000 times 12 divided by 112. 144,000 din yan. O, pinakita ko yung long way and yung shorter way. Ito yung gagamitin natin all throughout. Okay? Next, receivables on progress billing. So wala pa, hindi pa received. Tama? Kasi pag sale of services, actually or constructively received. Advances on contracts, advances, na-receive mo na. In-advance na sa'yo. VAT not inclusive. Ibig sabihin, exclusive. Wala pang VAT. So pag exclusive class, diretso multiply ka ng 12%. Parang ginawa natin dito. Okay? So ang gagawin ko dyan, dun sa advances, 300,000 times 12%. Okay? 36,000. So ginawa ko, 300,000 times 12%. Tapos nakita mo yung difference, kung kailan mo gagamitin yung 12 over 112, kailan yung diretso multiply ng 12%. Pag inclusive, ito. Pag exclusive, multiply agad 12%. Okay? So add natin yan. Retentions on contracts made by clients out of contract price, wala yan. Hindi pa yan actual or constructive received. 144,000 plus 36. You get 108,000. Ito yung output tax natin. Doon naman tayo sa input tax. Okay? Materials, gross of VAT. So yung materials, pag sinabi kong gross of VAT, ano sabi niyo, sir? Inclusive. So ang gagawin ko dyan, 313,600 times 12 divided by 112, 33,600. Okay? Materials from VAT exempt suppliers, plus dapat VAT registered ka, VAT registered si supplier mo. Since VAT exempt siya, hindi ka pwede mag-claim na input VAT dyan. So wala yung source of input VAT. Services of subcontractor, VAT exclusive, 627,200. Pag exclusive, diretso multiply ng 12% times 12%, 75,264. Lagay ko nandito, services, okay, of subcontractor, 75,264. Alright. Next, services of persons subject to OPT. Pag subject siya sa OPT, hindi siya subject to VAT. Okay? Kasi mutually exclusive yung dalawa na yan. Therefore, hindi siya VAT registered. Hindi ka pwede mag-claim ng VAT dyan. Salaries of employees, hindi rin yan. Okay? Employer-employee relationship, hindi source of input VAT yan. So, ayan na. 33,600 plus 75,264, you get 108,864. Okay? Tingnan natin. So, meron tayong VAT payable na how much? Output tax natin is 180,000 minus 108,864, you get 71,136, letter dog or D. Letter D. Okay, tandaan nyo ito kasi, ito yung important dyan. Sige. So as you notice, medyo madali lang yung computation kapag VAT. Usually short problems lang yan. Let's go to number 3. The following information are available to you. All amounts provided are gross of VAT. Ibig sabihin, inclusive of VAT. So pag ganyan, 12 over 112. Tama? Okay, W, non-VAT taxpayer sells to X, VAT taxpayer. Si W daw, nagbenta kay X. Tama? And non-VAT siya. Si X naman is VAT taxpayer. Okay? Or ibig sabihin, VAT registered siya. X, VAT taxpayer sells to Y, VAT taxpayer. So, nagbenta siya kay Y, VAT taxpayer din si Y. Alright? Y, VAT taxpayer sells to Z. Si Z, exporter. Okay? So, di ba pag exporter, zero rated yan. Okay? And then, si Z, nag-export siya. Okay? So, nag-export si Z. Ayan, ganyan nangyari. Question 1. The VAT of X is. So, tinatanong si X. Tingnan natin class. Si X, tingnan natin sa point of view ni X. Ang requirement is dapat, VAT taxpayer siya, yung supplier niya, VAT taxpayer din, kaya lang, non-VAT. So, ang gagawin ko dyan, yung output tax ni X. How much? Output tax, 94,000. So, sabayan niyo ako mag-compute, ha? Asan ba yan? So, 94,000. Okay. Ulitin ko. So, 94,000 sells to X, VAT taxpayer. Sorry. So, si X, nagbenta kay Y. How much yung binenta ni X kay Y? 151,200. Tama? 151,200. Nakalagay dyan, gross of VAT daw lahat. So, 151,200 times 12 divided by 112. Na-compute mo ba yung 16,200? Yun yung output tax ni X. Yung binenta niya kay Y, may output yun. Ngayon, yung binili niya kay W, walang input yun. Kasi si W is not a VAT-registered taxpayer. Therefore, VAT payable ni X, 16,200. So, ingat ka lagi sa kung sino yung bibilan mo, supplier mo. Ensure mo kung VAT taxpayer ka, VAT taxpayer din siya para makapag-claim ka ng input tax. Okay? 16,200, answer natin sa question 1, letter A. Question number 2. Si Y naman, okay? So si Y, nagbenta siya kay Z, okay? So yung binenta niya kay Z, yung output tax ni Y is how much? 268,800 times 12 divided by 112. Nakuha mo ba yung 28,800? So ulitin ko, yung binenta ni Y kay Z is 268,800. 268,800 times 12 divided by 112, 28,800, okay? Take note class, pagka output tax naman, regardless kung sino bentahan mo, okay, lagi kang subject to output tax. VAT exempt yan, non-VAT registered, kahit sino yan, lagi kang subject to output tax. Okay? As long as VAT registered ka. Okay, tingnan natin class. Si Y ba pwede ba siya mag-claim ng input tax? Well, tingnan mo yung supplier ni Y. Uy, si X, VAT registered taxpayer, pwede. Alright? So, how much yung binili niya kay X? 151,200, which is basically ito. Tama ba yan? Yung output ni X, yun yung input ni Y. Does that make sense? Okay. So, 16,200. Therefore, yung payable ni Y is, let's compute, 28,800. Minus 16,200, 12,600, letter boy. Let's go to question number 3. Si Z naman. Okay, si Z, nag-export si Z. Okay, alam natin, pag nag-export ka, zero rated yan. Therefore, zero yung output VAT ni Z. Pwede ba mag-claim ng input tax si Z? Well, tingnan natin yung supplier niya, si Y. Uy, VAT taxpayer, pwede. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, yung output ni Y na 28,800, yun yung input ni Z. Tama? Okay. So, minus 28,800. Therefore, class, in this case, answer natin is letter C, 28,800 na creditable. Okay? So, ang gagawin ni Z dyan, di ba may tatlong option si Z? Yung 28,800, pwede niyang ipang-offset dun sa local sales niya, if may local sales siya, or pwede siya mag-apply ng refund within 2 years, okay? Or pwede siyang ipakredit niya, tax credit certificate sa ibang taxes niya. Okay? Answer, question number 3 is C, 28,800 creditable. Alright? Class, i-risk ko na make sure na copy nyo ito. Important yan. Sige, so number 3 naman is, or number 4, basically, bumili ka ng fixed assets or mga capital goods. So, yun yung term na ginagamit sa tax, capital goods. So, yun yung PPE natin sa accounting. Okay? So, ano nga ba class yung rule natin sa fixed assets or sa capital goods? Yung aggregate monthly cost mo, yung binili mo. Okay? Total na binili mo per month. Pag hindi siya nag-exceed ng 1 million, 100% outright, pwede mo i-claim yung input tax. Ngayon, kapag nag-exceed ng 1 million, pwede mo siyang i-amortize over useful life or 60 months, whichever is shorter. Okay, tandaan mo yun ha? Sige, so let's go to number 4. Mr. X purchased the following fixed assets, but exclusive. Pag sabi exclusive, well, hindi pa kasama. Diretso multiply tayo ng 12% dyan. For the taxable year 2021. Okay, machinery 1 and machinery 2. Take note, binili siya March pareho. Okay? Monthly yung may analysis natin. Okay? Yung isa useful life 4 years, yung isa 2.5 years. Acquisition cost ni machinery 1, 500. Si machinery 2, 300. Ang term na ginamit is aggregate. So, ito total natin yan before mo i-compare sa 1 million. Again, hindi per transaction yung comparison mo ha. Total per month. In this case, 500 plus 300, 800. Okay? Which is less than 1 million. Therefore, outright, 100% i-recognize natin yung input tax natin for machineries 1 and 2. Tama? Okay. Question number 1. How much is the input tax for March? Well, sa question 1, machinery pa lang yung meron tayo. So, si machinery 1, gagawin natin dyan, 500,000 times 12%. Okay? Kasi VAT exclusive diretso 12%. Times 12%, you get 60,000. Si machinery 2 naman, 300,000 times 12%, you have 36,000. So 60 plus 36, you have 96,000. Answer natin sa question 1, 96,000. Take note class na in-ignore na natin yung useful life for machineries 1 and 2 kasi hindi naman siya nag-exceed ng 1 million threshold natin. Okay? Okay, so how much is the input tax for July? So that's for question number 2. July naman yung pinag-uusapan natin. Tingnan natin class, bumili tayo ng dalawa equipment. Office equipment 1 and office equipment 2. Now, so yung isa, 4 years, yung isa, 5 years, 400,000 and 1.1 million. Add natin, 400 plus 1.1, that's 1.5 million. Well, obviously, mas mataas sa 1 million yan. Pwede nating i-amortize over useful life or 60 months, whichever is shorter. Okay? So, si office equipment 1, ganito gagawin ko dyan. Sige, dito natin compute. Office equipment 1, yung solution ko dyan, okay, may 400,000 ka, multiply ko ng 12%, and then ilang years yan? 4, whichever is shorter daw. So, shorter yung 4. Okay? 4 times 12, 48 months. Take note dito class, ang tanong is month, okay? For the month of July. Kasi again, every month nagbabayad tayo ng VAT, okay? Divide yan by 48 kasi 48 months. So 400,000 times 12% divided by 48, you get 1,000. Equipment 1 is 1,000. Office equipment 2. Okay. So office equipment 2, 1.1 million. Multiply ko by 12%. Divide ko by 60 kasi yun naman useful life niya and then 60 months. So yun pa rin. So 1.1 million times 12%. Divided by 60, you get 2,200. 1,000 plus 22, 3,200. That's our answer for question number 2. Question number 3. Okay. How much the input tax for October 2021? Sige, so sa October 2021, bumili tayo ng store equipment naman. October 1, October 15. 500,000 for store equipment 1, 1.5 million for store equipment 2, that's 2 million. More than 1 million, therefore, pwede natin i-amortize. So, ganito gagawin ko dyan. Store equipment 1, so, meron akong 500,000, multiply ko by 12%. 2 years yan, so divide ko by 24. 500,000 times 12% divided by 24, you get 2,500. 2,500 for store equipment 1. Store equipment 2 naman is 1.5 million, multiply natin by 12%. Divide mo by 60. Kasi yung limit mo dito, 60 months. Okay? 6 years yan, o sumobra ka, so 60 lang. 1.5 million times 12% divided by 60, you get 3,000. Okay? Plus, take note na isasama mo rin yan. Tama? Kasi, a-amortize mo siya sa useful life niya, sa 48 and 60. So, ibig sabihin, madadama yung for the month of October. Okay? So, huwag mo kalimutan yan. Office equipment 1 is 1,000, and then office equipment 2 is 2,200. So, add natin yan, 2,500 plus 3,000 plus 1,000 plus 2,2, you get 8,700. This is your answer for question number 3. Okay. Let's go to question number 4. Sabi diyang class, assuming Mr. X disposed all the remaining assets mentioned above on January 1, 2025, how much unamortized VAT may the taxpayer apply against any output VAT? So class, nangyari dito, since inamortize natin over useful life or 60 months, whichever is shorter, what if binenta? Okay, in the middle or during, okay? Ibig sabihin, yung unamortized na input VAT natin, yung excess or yung remaining, pwede mo na ipang-offset agad sa output VAT, okay? So ibig sabihin class, kailangan natin ma-compute how much ba yung remaining. Dito natin gawin. Okay, so gawin ko class, dito na lang, erase ko na lang pa. Ganito lang yan. So kailangan natin malaman how much pa yung balance ng input tax natin. Okay? Start muna tayo with sino ba yung mga subject to input. Ito. So ito, depreciate natin yan or amortize natin yan. So kasama yan, isa-isay natin. Okay, so si office equipment 1, lagay ko lang OE, number 1. Okay? Kailan siya binili? Tingnan natin class ha. July 2021, tama? And then, binenta lahat daw January 1, 2025. Bilangin natin ilang months yun. Mula nung binili hanggang binenta. Si office equipment 1, 2021, 6 months yun. Kasi July to December. 2021 to, plus 2022, plus 2023, plus 2024. Tama ba? Ito yung 2021, 22, 23, 24. Kasi binenta January 1, 2025. Tama? So, add natin yan. Ilan lahat yung 6 plus 12, plus 12, plus 12, you get 42 months. Ayan. Si office equipment 1, yung useful life niya is 4 years or 48 months. Kung 48 months yung useful life niya, and then 42 months na yung nakalipas, therefore 6 months na remaining for office equipment 1. Does that make sense? 6 months yung remaining. And then, na-compute natin 1,000 per month. Tama? Therefore, 1,000 times 6, yung unamortized input tax ni office equipment 1 is 6,000. Ayun, ganun lang siya. Okay, so underline ko ha. So, doon naman tayo kay office equipment 2. Si office equipment 2, July din binenta, tama? So, ibig sabihin, 42 months din yung nakalipas. Yung life ni office equipment 2 is 5 years or 60 months. 60 minus 42, 18 months remaining si office equipment 2. Okay? 18 months remaining. 2 per month. Ibig sabihin, 2 times 18. Let's compute. 2 times 18, you get 39,600 for office equipment 2. Store equipment, number 1. Ilang useful life niya? 2 years. Oy, wala nang unamortized yan. 2 years eh. Ilan tayo? 42 months na yan eh. So wala na yan. Store equipment, number 2. Let's see. Kailan siya binili? October. So October, November, December, 3 months. So 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, ilan yan? So 36 plus 3, 39. Tama? Ilan yung useful life ni office equipment, ni store equipment 2? Tanda mo, maximum of 60 months lang yan. Tama? So 60 months minus 39, 21 months remaining. Okay? 21 months remaining. Therefore, kung 3,000 per month si store equipment 2 times 21, ilan yan? 3,000 times 21, 63,000 yung unamortized input tax ni store equipment number 2. Add natin, 6,000 plus 39,600 plus 63,000, total natin class is 108,600. This is your final answer, 108,600. It means, since dinispose mo lahat nung fixed assets mo noong January 1, 2025, for the month of January 2025, pwede mo ipang offset lahat yan, okay? Dun sa output tax mo. Okay, that's number 4. Easy lang, di ba class? Dali lang yung mga questions for that. Let's go to number 5. Okay, number 5 is about, ayan pa rin. Sir, paano mag-compute ng monthly and quarterly? Okay, so pakita ko sa inyo, paano yung monthly and quarterly computation. For number 5, the books of accounts of ABC Corporation, VAT registered, reveal the following data in 2021. Deferred input taxes 2020. Sir, ano ibig sabihin nun? Bakit may deferred input taxes? Iyang class yung excess input VAT last year or last quarter. Okay? Pwede mo i-carry over this quarter yan or this month. Okay, so sales VAT exclusive, ibig sabihin wala pang VAT. Diretso multiply tayo ng 12%. January, February, March, meron din tayong purchases. Basically, yung sources of input VAT natin, January, February, March. Okay, question number 1. For the month of January, paano gagawin mo dyan, sir? Well, ang gagawin ko dyan, yung output muna tayo. Yung output tax natin, compute natin. Month of January, 1,240,000 times 12%, 148,800. Okay? Month of, yung input tax natin, for the month of January, 762,000. Tama, 762,000 yung purchases natin, times 0.12, 91,440. Plus, take note, pwede mong yung deferred input tax mo from last quarter or last year, pwede mo siyang ipang-offset this month. Kasi carry over yan, tama? 18,600. Okay, 148,800 minus 91,440 minus 18,600. Answer natin dito, class, is 38,760 payable, letter dog. Ayan. Question number 2, for the month of Feb. Okay, so compute natin yung output tax natin. Output tax is 860,000 times 12%, 103,200. Input tax natin for the month of February, yung purchases natin is 950,400 times 12%, 114,048. Plus, take note, yung 18,600 na kinary over mo ng January, huwag mo i-carry over sa Feb. Okay? Kasi sa Feb, again, per month yung computation natin. Tama? Nagamit mo na yan dito, huwag mo nang i-carry over dito yan. Unless may sobra pa. In this case, nagamit mo na lahat, huwag mo na i-carry over dito. Alright? So, ingat ka doon. So, 103,200 minus 114,048, you have negative 10,848. Okay. Class, ano ba yan? Creditable ba yan? Actually, class, ang final answer sa question number 2 is dog, 0. Bakit, sir? If January yan, pwede mo i-credit. Ganito yan kasi, class. Monthly and quarterly, okay? So, compute tayo ng January, separate. Compute tayo month of Feb, okay? Ngayon, pagdating ng March, cumulative yung computation mo. Since cumulative yung computation mo, hindi mo i-credit to sa March. Nakuha mo yun? Kung nangyari yan sa January, pwede mong i-credit sa Feb yun. Okay? Pero since nangyari yan sa Feb, yung next month mo, cumulative yung computation, hindi mo pwede i-carry over yan. That's why ang sagot natin sa question 2 is dog. Okay? Dog yung question 2. Huwag mo sasagot yung A, Actually, trick yan. Huwag mo sasagot yung A. Question 2 is dog. Pakita ko sa inyo, class, yung question number 3. Okay? Quarterly. Ayan, for the month of March. Again, pag quarterly, cumulative yung computation natin. Sige, class. Add muna natin lahat ng sales, 1,240,000 plus 860,000 plus 1,080,000 multiply natin by, nakuha mo yung 3,180,000, in-add ko lang lahat ng sales, multiply by 12%, you get 381,600. So yung output tax natin, 381,600. Got it? Okay. So ulitin ko, in-add ko lang yung lahat ng sales, nakuha ko 3,180,000, multiply by 12%, 381,600. Let's compute for the input tax. Add ko lahat ng purchases, 762,000 plus 950,400 plus 471,750. Nakuha ko class is 2,184,150. Multiply ko by 12%. You get 262,098. 262,098. Okay? And then, since cumulative yung computation natin, parang sa corporation, so maalala mo, pag cumulative ka, ayun, pwede natin i-deduct yung deferred input tax na yan. So yung deferred natin from last period, 18,600. Take note also class na nagbayad na tayo dito. Binayaran natin yan sa month of January. 38,760. Dahil dito yung paid or payment natin, 38,760. Therefore, yung final answer natin, 381,600 minus 262,098 minus 18,600 minus 38,760, you get 62,142. Answer natin dito class, letter A, 62,142, that is a payable. Letter A. Okay, balik tayo dito para hindi ka malito. Class, tignan mo, pag ito credit mo dito, walang sense yan. Kasi cumulative yung naging computation mo dito eh. Ang nangyari, nung naging cumulative yung computation mo, mas mataas si output than your input. So dapat wala kang creditable in the first place. Gets? So ganun siya. Alright. So again, final answers, dog for question 1, dog for question 2, A for question number 3. Okay, let's go to number 6. Okay, number 6. Number 6 naman class, what if meron kang mixed businesses? Okay, yung isang mong business, subject to VAT. Yung isang mong business, hindi subject to VAT. Sir, paano gagawin natin dyan? Okay, so let's solve natin yan sa question, or sa problem number 6. Sige, so i-erase ko lang. Let's read the problem. ABC company operates 2 lines of businesses. One subject to VAT, and another one not subject to VAT. Okay, relevant data for the period are as follows. Natin. Sales, VAT business, VAT inclusive. Okay. And then non-VAT business, you have purchases, merchandise, VAT business, VAT inclusive. Merchandise, non-VAT business, VAT inclusive. Okay. Meron tayong capital goods, VAT business, VAT inclusive. Capital goods for use in both businesses. So class, encircle me yung both businesses. Rent of office, rent of store of space, VAT business, VAT inclusive. Rent of warehouse for use in both businesses. Freight of goods for use in both businesses, and utility bills for use in both businesses. Nakita mo yung meron tayong apat dyan na both businesses. Kaya ako pinapa-encircle sa'yo yan kasi i-allocate natin later yan. Okay? Pakita ko sa inyo paano. Now, ang tanong sa atin is how much daw yung VAT payable? Well, since VAT payable yan, mag-start tayo with output tax. Yung output tax natin is how much? Punta tayo dun sa sales. Siyempre, yung VAT business lang yung papansinin natin. Huwag mo nang pansinin yung non-VAT business kasi hindi subject to output tax yan. So, VAT inclusive siya. So, class 1, 2, 3, 2,000. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 2,000 times, since meron ng VAT yan, 12 over 112. Nakuha mo ba yung 132,000? So, sulat ko na yung solution ko dito. So, 1, 2, 3, 2,000 times 12 over 112. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 2,000 times 12 over 112. Output tax natin is 132,000. Okay? So, walang problema. Doon tayo sa input tax. Okay, sa isa nating class. Merchandise, VAT business, VAT inclusive. Okay. 231,000 times 12 divided by 112. Nakuha mo ba yung 24,750? Okay, so source of input VAT yan. 24,750. Okay, so it's just 231,000. So lagay ko na rin para hindi kayo malito. Times 12 over 112. Next, merchandise, non-VAT business. Non-VAT, ignore. Okay, ignore mo yan. Capital goods, VAT business, VAT inclusive. Okay, so source of input VAT yan. Compute natin, 52,164 times 12 over 112. Okay. You get 5589. Nakuha mo yan? So 5589. Alright, next item. Capital goods for use in both businesses. O later, lagay natin dito yung for allocation. Okay, lagay natin dyan. Kasi ginamit mo sa VAT, ginamit mo sa non-VAT. Allocate mo. Okay? Ngayon, compute natin yan. So yung capital goods, in total muna, mamaya na tayo mag-allocate. So 84,000 times 12 over 112. Nakuha mo ba yung 9,000? Okay, so lagay yung solution natin. 84,000 times 12 over 112. Okay? Yan, mamaya yan. For allocation. Rent of store space, VAT business, VAT inclusive. Okay, so source of input VAT yan. 21,840 times 12. Lagay ko dito. 21,840 times 12 over 112. 12 over 112, you get 2,340. Okay, so 2,340. And then, next, rent of warehouse for use in both businesses. O, yan. For allocation yan. Pero nakalagay VAT exclusive. So, ibig sabihin, diretso multiply tayo ng 12%. So, 9,300 times 12%. 9,300 times 0.12, you get 1,300. 116. This is for the eco-rent. Next natin is freight. For both businesses daw yan. VAT inclusive, so 3864 times 12 over 112. 3864 times 12, ulit, 3864 times 12 divided by 112. You get 414. And then last one class is utility bills. Utility bills, VAT inclusive, so 2436 times 12 over 112. 2436 times 12 divided by 112, 261. Okay. So class, total natin yan, 261 plus 414 plus 1116 plus 9,000, you get 10,791. 10,791, ito yung for allocation natin. Sir, paano mo i-allocate yan? Tandaan mo class, ganito yung allocation. So yung allocation natin, gagamitin mo yung sales excluding VAT. Huwag mo isasama yung VAT. Okay? Sales excluding VAT. Tama ba class? Meron tayong vatable sales and then meron tayong non-vatable sales. Tama? How much yung vatable sales? Nakita mo yung 1, 2, 3, 2,000? Kaya lang yung 1, 2, 3, 2,000 VAT inclusive. Tama? Tanggalin mo yung 12% nun. So 1, 2, 3, 2,000 divide ko sa 1.12. Okay? Nakuha mo yung 1.1 million. Okay? So kumplituin ko. 1.1 million. So 1.1 million. So 1.1 million, nakuha ko yung class. 1, 2, 3, 2,000 divided by 1.12. Kasi class, VAT inclusive daw eh. Sabi ko dito, pag mag-allocate ka, dapat exclusive. Okay? Ingat ka doon ha. Dapat VAT exclusive. Jadi tanggalin ko yung VAT nito by dividing it by 1.12. So I get here 1.1 million. Okay? Yung non-VAT, wala tayong problema dyan. Lagay mo lang 220,000. Tama? Kasi wala namang VAT yun. Hindi mo kailangan gawin to. Okay? So 1.1 plus 220, you get 1,320,000. So ang gagawin ko dyan, ang sinusolve natin is this one. Okay? Kailangan natin malaman kung ano yung allocated, yung pwede natin i-claim as input VAT, 10,791 times 1.1 million divided by 1,320. Okay? So sabayan niyo ako mag-compute. 10,791 times 1.1 divided by 1,320, you should get 8,992.5 or 8,993. Okay? 8,993. Let's compute our VAT payable or creditable. Tingnan natin. 132,000 less 24,750 less 5,589 minus 2,340 minus 8,993. You get 90,328. 90,328. This is VAT payable. This is our final answer for problem number 6. Okay, so ganyan class pag mixed businesses yung binigay sa'yo.